Thank you very much, Adina. And it's wonderful to be here. I've been here in this group, but only half the group probably, because the European Internet Forum I was very active in. Now it's lovely to see both the Energy Forum and the Internet Forum together. And this is really a very appropriate combination here, because it's clear that the digital single market initiatives and objectives and strategy of the European Commission under President Juncker and the Energy Union strategy have many, many areas of cohabitation, let's call it, and common interest. So the area of e-mobility is one where we can really concentrate to a certain extent on those aspects. You know, I'm sure, that the Commission has proposed a clean energy for all European package in November 2016. Adina's committee is very active, both as a co-committee responsible for the governance regulation, which for us, of course, is one of the most important aspects, but also in terms of contributing to the other 7 legislative acts under that package. So this combination of digitalization, decentralization, which is another important aspect, which I'm going to mention briefly, and decarbonization under the clean energy package is something that I think will have impacts and implications for e-mobility now and in the future. So many people talk about e-vehicles as being a great solution, and of course they can be, and they have a very important role to play. But if the e-vehicles are running on electricity that is generated from coal, this doesn't help very much. So one of the things that is important in the Clean Energy for All Europeans package is a whole group of 4 legislative acts, which we call as a group the market design provisions. And those are intended to improve the electricity market within Europe, to reach our energy union goals of a more substantial and robust internal market, as well as that's one of the principles of the energy union. And in that context, it's to try to help to integrate the use of renewable energy into the electricity market, to make sure that grids are smarter, better used, smart sensors are being rolled out, smart meters, and the smart grids. We have a whole series of provisions relating to better interconnections as well, which is another important aspect. Some of you may have seen the Commission's proposal, well, not proposal, I should say, communication on integrations to interconnections rather, to increase the rate of interconnections between member states. And this also, and this is true also of the digital single market, the energy union does not begin or end at European borders. It goes far beyond. In the context of the energy community, which is a treaty between the European Union and member states of the energy community, who are the Western Balkan states, plus Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, those countries have an obligation to bring into their own domestic laws the European Union regulatory framework in the area of energy. So this helps also for our neighboring countries to expand the market, to have better interconnections also with them, to make sure that they are applying principles and rules which also will help bring down the emission of greenhouse gas. So these are all areas that I think are particularly important as a base for developing the e-mobility framework, because you have to have a good regulatory framework which permits the use and uptake of electricity, to make sure that demand response is better adapted, to make sure that consumers can generate their own renewable-based energy, can contribute to the grid, can adapt and adjust according to when prices are best. And this also is enabled by digitalization of the sector. So those are really important aspects to cover. One other element I want to mention is the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, which has been agreed both by the Parliament and by the Council now, and we have a finalized text on Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, which includes a number of provisions relating to charging points for electric vehicles. And so we hope that this will help to make sure that some of the infrastructure that's necessary for charging electric vehicles in the future is going to be there. Then, of course, there is the Renewables Directive and an Energy Efficiency Directive, which are being negotiated also between Parliament and Council, and those also will help both to feed cleaner energy into the electricity grid and to make sure that energy efficiency is encouraged and continues. Because even if we have clean electricity, which we are hoping to have, and we have very high ambitions to increase the rate of renewables in the electricity mix, we still have to make sure that we don't use this energy profligately, inappropriately. We have to try to make sure we use it to the best possible sense. And one other aspect which I want to mention, and I think it's important also in the context of e-mobility, that is the contribution of the clean energy transition to growth and jobs. In Europe, we have 1 million jobs in the clean energy sector. We have only 250,000 in the coal sector, and most of those jobs in the coal sector are in mining. So an argument that is often made with regard to e-mobility is that this will have a bad impact on jobs. And of course, everything has an impact on jobs. We have to make sure, though, that there is a positive spin to this, that there are more jobs created as a result of these transitions, and that people will be able to continue their active and productive economic lives. And for this reason also, we have in this clean energy package an initiative for addressing coal regions in transition to make sure that people are not left behind when these areas move away from coal and into other cleaner energies. One last aspect that I want to mention is the importance of research, innovation and competitiveness, which is again a principle of the Energy Union. In those of you who follow these things in detail will have seen probably that the Commission made its proposal for the multi-annual financial framework for the next 7 years. That package emphasizes very much the role and contribution of research, innovation and development to economic growth, to European sustainability, and also emphasizes very much the role of addressing climate change and energy transition. So I think in that respect, there is a lot of potential for the future to even more work in terms of better technological change, improving research and development, and this includes also, and this is a bit off the e-mobility side, but it relates also to transport, that is the way of finding alternative fuels, better use of existing fuels that probably have to continue in the future. So those relate also to energy efficiency and new and better ways of developing these aspects. And of course, improved digitalization of the sector is another area that can be sponsored and supported under this section. So Adina mentioned it already, the importance of transport in the greenhouse gas emissions reduction and the way in which we can reduce greenhouse gases. The standard line is that greenhouse gas emissions are accounted for primarily by buildings, eating meat, I'm sure you're not going to eat any at lunchtime, and transport. So I'm looking forward very much to hearing the contributions of the others and to having the discussion afterwards. Thank you very much.